this is an iHeart podcast. Guaranteed human.
Summer weather can be relentless. The heat, the humidity, long, hot days that leave you ready for cooling, relaxing relief. Caraloha bamboo sheets are naturally cooling, breathable, and luxuriously soft, letting you enjoy a sleep experience that feels better and recharges you every night. This season, discover why Caraloha is proud to partner with the National Eczema Association in celebrating comfort that's gentle on skin. Sleep cooler, comfier, and cleaner with Caraloha bamboo. Visit caraloha.com. That's CARILOHA.com. Caraloha. Same summer, just softer.
Why should you listen to Armstrong and Getty on demand?
We're not boring. A lot of news is boring.
And tedious.
And depressing.
And makes you angry. You don't want to live your life like that.
Hey, I'm Jack Armstrong. He's Joe Getty.
We're Armstrong and Getty.
We try to bring you the truth.
And help you figure out this crazy modern world.
How about something about a comedic tone?
We have a winner.
Yes. Listen to Armstrong and Getty on demand on the iHeartRadio app,
Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts.
Fauci, I inherited Fauci. He was here from the 1980s, so I had him for a period of time. And I disagreed with him on a lot. I would have had to close down the whole country if I listened to him. I went the Federalist way, which is basically let the governors decide. And generally speaking, the Republican governors did very well. The Democrat governors did not very well. But Fauci wanted to have nobody wearing masks, if you remember, and then everybody had to wear 5 masks, as many masks as you could get. I mean, made a lot of mistakes.
You're listening to the 47 Morning Update with Ben Ferguson.
Good Thursday morning. It's so nice to have you on the 47 Morning Update, and we've got 2 big stories for you. First up, Anthony Fauci. Yeah, he showed up in Congress yesterday, and let's just say it didn't go very well. We break down exactly what he had to say, and the second part of the story is the response. Americans furious, members of Congress livid, and lawyers for Anthony Fauci literally being kicked out of the room. So what happens next? We break it all down for you. Now, before we get to that, I want to ask you to join me in praying for the people that are in need right now in Israel. There are so many needs in Israel, and they are still dealing with the attacks from terrorists. And that is where I want you to join me and go right now to find out who you can help pray for by going to prayifcj.org. As Christians, we're called to stand with God's people and pray for those defending Israel and protecting the freedoms we hold dear. And you have an important role that you can play right now. And that is understanding that even as the headlines move on, the heartache and the terror, they do not. Iran and its terrorist proxies are continuing to target the people in Israel. Hezbollah is continuing its attacks in the north, forcing families to live under constant threat. But Israel is not only defending her people, she is standing on the front lines against terror that threatens us all. And that is why the International Fellowship of Christians and Jews is standing firm and standing with the people every day. They're on the ground providing life-saving aid. Near Israel's border with Lebanon, a Hezbollah drone recently struck the home of Yelena. She was widowed earlier this year and living alone. Not only was she trapped inside by the blast, but she also said this after she was rescued. "It's hard these days. I don't want to leave." And why should she have to leave her home? And that is why I'm asking you to pray for peace and for Jerusalem and for the soldiers and the families and the civilians that are carrying this burden right now. Go to prayifcj.org to get involved. That's prayifcj.org. It's the 47 Morning Update, and it starts right now.
Story number 1.
Well, if you missed it, it was fireworks on Capitol Hill, and it had nothing to do with the 250th anniversary celebrating the United States of America. This time, it was one of the most controversial public officials, and I say that in air quotes, of this country's history in my lifetime. The man in charge of the COVID era, Dr. Anthony Fauci, was forced to return and face lawmakers for the countless lies he's now being accused of telling. And within moments, the hearing turned into political theater, unlike anything we've actually seen in Washington in years, and that's saying something. Anthony Fauci read a simple opening statement, not just for this country, but also for the world to see. And think about how different this statement is. than the man that was obsessed with his image, obsessed with being famous, obsessed with telling you what you could and couldn't do for years. During COVID, a man that obsessed with locking down the country, a man that said if you got the vaccine, you had nothing to worry about. A man that said we were going to quarantine to stop the spread in 2 weeks. A man that said you must wear a mask. A man that said you couldn't go to the hospital to say goodbye to your loved ones who were dying. A man that said you shouldn't gather for Christmas or Thanksgiving. A man that said you shouldn't get married and have an actual wedding during COVID because it was too dangerous. So, a man that had no problem telling you what to do with your life, shutting down our schools, shutting down countless small businesses that ended up going bankrupt, shutting down an entire economy where inflation went through the roof. Now, he doesn't have a lot to say anymore. Isn't that interesting?
Although it pains me to do so, because of the respect I have for the legislative branch of government and my decades-long record of cooperating with Congress, under the advice of my attorneys, I will invoke my right under the Fifth Amendment of the Constitution to refrain from answering your questions. Thank you.
Wow. That is Dr. Anthony Fauci invoking his Fifth Amendment right against self-incrimination, the same guy, by the way, who also got a presidential pardon from Joe Biden, declining to answer any questions from senators investigating the government's pandemic response. Now, this is the highest paid member of the United States government. We're trying to make sure we never let it happen again. And the guy who has, quote, all the answers and had no problem telling you what you could and couldn't do with your life will not answer basic questions. There also was another extraordinary moment. Fauci's attorney repeatedly attempted to speak during the proceedings despite the committee's chairman's instructions not to. Chairman Rand Paul ultimately ordered Capitol Police to remove the attorney from the hearing room after concluding he was disrupting that hearing.
Behind you, sir. That's where you were told to sit, and you're not. And now you're disrupting the proceedings. And so, look, this is the way Anthony Fauci wants to be remembered. For a lawyer not listening to the rules. That's the way you want to be remembered, and that's what you're going to do. You are not recognized, sir. Security, please remove him from the room. Let the record state that Dr. Fauci will still have the advice of the other half a dozen attorneys that he brought along today. Senator Peters.
Now, as you could hear Senator Rand Paul state, he still had the counsel literally of like dozens of people behind him who were attorneys that he brought with him to the hearing. Now, whether you believe Fauci was a dedicated public service and he was, quote, unfairly targeted, as liberals are saying, this is an individual that now refuses to answer no questions at a hearing that it was all about what he did after he took away so many rights of Americans. He completely changed children's lives forever with school that they missed because they shut down schools. Dr. Anthony Fauci was the individual behind that. And we also now know he lied about it, claiming that that is something he never actually did. Now, Donald Trump got in on the action very quickly, stating this for the record at the White House.
Watched the whole thing today, but more importantly, I was a part of the whole Fauci. I inherited Fauci. He was here from the 1980s, so I had him for a period of time. And I disagreed with him on a lot. I would have had to close down the whole country if I listened to him. I went the Federalist way, which is basically let the governors decide. And generally speaking, the Republican governors did very well. The Democrat governors did not very well. But Fauci wanted to have nobody wearing masks, if you remember, and then everybody had to wear 5 masks, as many masks as you could get. I mean, made a lot of mistakes. And he wasn't a big factor for me. He was a very big factor for Biden. And if you remember, even though we were sort of prime time in terms of that whole disaster of COVID, far people died, fewer in the Trump administration than in the Biden administration. We ran it well. Operation Warp Speed was talked about as being one of the great success stories anywhere in the world, actually. And we did a good job. But many more people died under Biden than died in the Trump administration from COVID. COVID was a disaster, but Fauci did not help.
Now, not only is Donald Trump absolutely right, but it is important that we remind Americans where we came from and where all this started and why Dr. Fauci is so important. I also want to be clear. For millions of Americans watching this, yeah, it's okay to be angry. Does Anthony Fauci have the constitutional right to plead the fifth? He absolutely does. And that is not what I'm angry about. The question that I'm angry about is this. How is it that the most influential public health official in my lifetime, a man that chose to shut down the United States of America, chose not to publicly defend those decisions that affected virtually every family in the United States of America? For years, I go back to remind you, Americans were told to, quote, trust the experts. We were told to trust the scientists. We were told to trust the science. We were told that it was your duty, your obligation as a patriotic American to have your business closed, for your schools to shut down. Remember when churches went empty? How many Americans did not find church a safe place? How many of them will never go back to church because of what happened? Families literally missed the funerals of their own loved ones. Children lost countless years of important education, and it's affecting their education right now. When you lose those building blocks of 2 years of school, we now know you never get it back. We also know that workers lost their entire careers. Small businesses, they disappeared forever and never came back. And don't forget about the men and women in our military that served their country but were fired under the Biden regime for refusing to get the vaccine. Now, you add that on top of the sacrifice birthdays, the weddings, the graduations, right, the holiday gatherings, because government leaders insisted that these were, quote, extraordinary measures that were more than necessary. They were mandated. And Anthony Fauci was the one who delivered those messages each and every day. That is why so many Americans are angry and so frustrated by this.
Now, story number 2.
But there's also another part of this. It is the fact that Fauci invoked his constitutional right in the most ridiculous way. Why did he do it? Because he doesn't want to go to jail. How simple were the questions? Well, Senator Josh Hawley, just showing the hypocrisy of Anthony Fauci, started asking questions like this.
What day of the week is it today?
On the advice of counsel, I respectfully decline to answer based upon my rights under the Fifth Amendment to the Constitution.
What color tie are you wearing?
On the advice of counsel, I respectfully decline to answer based upon my rights under the Fifth Amendment to the Constitution.
What color is the carpet in front of you?
On the advice of counsel, I respectfully decline to answer based upon my rights under the Fifth Amendment to the Constitution.
This is the man that told you how to live your life for 2 years. He won't answer the question, what color is the carpet? He won't answer the question, what color tie he was wearing. He won't answer the question, what day of the week is it? This is who Anthony Fauci is now, because the deep state and the Democratic Party is no longer there to protect him. There was also another very interesting moment I want to play for you as well. Senator Moreno to Anthony Fauci took it up a notch as he explained why so many Americans are so angry.
Those policies were put in place because you had moronic politicians that listened to the words of a megalomaniac who was more interested in having met a Kardashian than the suffering of the American people. And that is you. Your advice to communities like that, to idiotic politicians who enforce those rules, arrested that mom for watching a football game with her own family outside. When that story broke, I said to myself, I cannot stand idly on the side and watch this happen. It was about 6 years ago today that I decided I'm going to give up my businesses, sell them all, run for office, run for the United States Senate. Here I am sitting in front of you 6 years later saying, who the fuck do you think you were for doing that? It is a total disgrace what you did to this country.
Now, you may have noticed there that there was some very blunt language used by that senator. Why? Well, it's because the newly released diary of Anthony Fauci has become a major source of this controversy, because it offered an inside look at Fauci's private observations during one of the most consequential periods in modern American history. Yes, he cared more about me and the Kardashians than he did about the people that were dying. And Republican lawmakers are saying this clearly. The diary raises additional questions about his decision-making and his public messaging, while Fauci and his supporters, of course, are saying, no, he was amazing. Now, if you think the media is going to flinch, you're wrong. TMZ's Harvey Levin called the attacks on Dr. Anthony Fauci one of the most heartbreaking, this is not a joke, things he's witnessed in government, comparing the push to jail him to the fear and prosecution in the McCarthy era. Now, to be clear, Harvey doesn't give a rat's rear end if you missed your kid's wedding or you didn't get to go to the hospital and witness your grandchild being born. He doesn't care if your family members couldn't gather for your funeral or couldn't hold your hand while you were in hospice care or in the hospital terminally ill with cancer. No, he now says you should feel sorry for Anthony Fauci.
I have not used TMZ's YouTube channel to vent personal feelings about issues, but I'm going to do that today. Watching Anthony Fauci before a congressional hearing taking the Fifth Amendment is just one of the most heartbreaking things I have seen in government in my lifetime. And this is something we need to reckon with. That I'm going to say up front, I have problems the way the CDC handled COVID. I think that they did damage to children, to adults, and I don't think they did it maliciously. I think they did it because they were using their judgment and were overprotective, and I think at times overstated things they said they knew but really didn't. And I have personal problems with the way that COVID was handled. That said, Anthony Fauci, over a period of decades, has been an amazing public servant. In the 80s, I had many friends who died of AIDS, a horrible, painful death. And I had friends who lived because of Anthony Fauci, because he was willing to look at experimental drugs in a different way than they had looked at them before. And that really resulted in lives saved. And he has done so many other things in his career to thwart epidemics, to save lives, not just in the United States, but all over the world. He has been a dedicated public servant who could have made a lot more money outside of government than inside, but he stayed. And now we are at a point where members of Congress, and yes, you, Rand Paul, are on a witch hunt. And the best I can say for Rand Paul is that he's being really honest. I mean, he has said now over a period of years, he wants Anthony Fauci in a jail cell. He has said it out loud. He wants him in a jail cell. That's the point of this hearing. That's why they're doing this. They want to take something that Anthony Fauci says and then claim it amounts to perjury, and they want to prosecute him, they want to convict him, and they want to throw him in prison. That's the point of this hearing. There is no other point of this hearing.
Let me just stop there. I wanted you to hear how far the media will go to defend the indefensible. Let me just rebut that real quick so we can go through what this hearing was actually about. Okay? why America is frustrated. And I will say this to Harvey Levin at TMZ. Americans remember the shifting guidance that wasn't based in science and they were lied to. We remember being told masks weren't necessary before they were then told and mandated to wear them. We remember the 6-foot distancing became a nationwide standard with no scientific data backing it. We remember changing guidance on schools and then travel and then the vaccines and then the boosters and then more boosters and then more vaccine boosters. And we were told that if we got the vaccine, we wouldn't get COVID. Those were lies. This has nothing to do with putting Anthony Fauci in jail. This is about a man who was drunk on power, who chose to be a dictator and a tyrant, take away Americans' rights, take away our basic ability to gather, to worship, to sing, to go to church, to go to school, to open our businesses. That is what today was about. It was about the fact that we were lied to, and we were told that it was all based on scientific evidence. We know it's a lie. Hell, we now even know, apparently, that Anthony Fauci suffered some side effects from the COVID-19 vaccine. And then what did he do? He didn't disclose it, and he hid it from the American people. One of the striking moments came before the substantive questioning even got underway. Fauci's attorney, of course, trying to interject during that hearing. Again, trying to take the shots to protect Anthony Fauci. This is about the lack of transparency. This is why Americans still care. And when you have the guy that's in charge of this country, yet again sitting there, after telling all of us how to live our lives for 2 years, invoking the Fifth Amendment, not even telling us what color tie he's wearing or what color the carpet is, and knowing that he was a liar to the American people with no accountability, that is why Americans are angry right now.
Thank you for listening to the 47 Morning Update with Ben Ferguson. Please make sure you hit subscribe wherever you're listening to this podcast right now. And for more in-depth news, also subscribe to the Ben Ferguson Podcast, and we will see you back here tomorrow.
Summer weather can be relentless. The heat, the humidity, long, hot days that leave you ready for cooling, relaxing relief. Caraloha bamboo sheets are naturally cooling, breathable, and luxuriously soft, letting you enjoy a sleep experience that feels better and recharges you every night. This season, discover why Caraloha is proud to partner with the National Eczema Association in celebrating comfort that's gentle on skin. Sleep cooler, comfier, and cleaner with Caraloha bamboo. Visit caraloha.com. That's CARILOHA.com. Caraloha. Same summer, just softer.
Why should you listen to Armstrong and Getty on demand?
We're not boring. A lot of news is boring.
And tedious.
And depressing.
And makes you angry. You don't want to live your life like that.
Hey, I'm Jack Armstrong. He's Joe Getty.
We're Armstrong and Getty.
We try to bring you the truth.
And help you figure out this crazy modern world.
About something about a comedic tone.
We have a winner.
Yes. Listen to Armstrong and Getty on demand on the iHeartRadio app,
Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts.